Welcome to episode 4 of the Lululoves Crochet Podcast. My name's Emma and I have a blog, www.lululoves.co.uk. I'm also on Ravelry as Lululoves and Instagram. I'll put the links below if you're interested. So I'm going to talk to you today about some of the projects I finished, some works in project and some books and other bits. It's just been half term here. The children went back on Monday, so I actually haven't had a lot of crochet time this week, which has been sad. But I have got a few things finished, so I will start with those, I think. The first thing I'll show you are the items I made from Tanya's book. There's a blog post, it went up on Sunday. I did a blog tour for her book, Home Decoration in Crochet, I think it's called. I'll put the link for that below. But anyway, I used some of my Croft yarn, which I was excited to try, and the first thing I made from her book was this lovely Teapot cozy. Look how that lovely yarn has worked up. I'll try and get nice and close. There's some really lovely pictures on my blog actually if you'd like to have a better look, but it's just a very simple construction, and then there's a crochet tie. Oh, look at that. It looks lovely up on my shelf. I don't usually use a teapot to make tea, if I'm honest. I like to, but everyone else just prefers it in a mug. So my daughter actually bought me a little one-person teapot there last Christmas. So, but it's still lovely to look at, and you can always pretend. And the other item that I made from her book, really just to use up some of the, I had some of the Croft yarn left over and not enough to really do anything substantial with. So I made up a set of the coasters that were featured in her book as well. Hers were made using cotton yarn and I think 3mm, and I was obviously working with Aaron. So I adapted the pattern slightly and I finished it slightly different. I think the swirls and the pattern finished together. Really easy to follow. There's diagrams as well for all the patterns, which I find useful. I just love those blues. Aren't they lovely? So I made a set of 4 of these with the leftover yarn. So I've got Tea Cosy and 4 coasters from that 100-gram skein. So that was pretty good. Happy with those. I love the book. Loads of lovely patterns. Yeah, it's just really, really lovely. And they're adaptable as well. So you can, I've obviously worked my patterns up in Aaron, and I think most of the patterns in the book were using cotton. So no trouble with that at all. And then the other thing I finished, I finished but haven't sewn in any ends yet. I managed to get another ball. I managed to get another ball to finish the super chunky. I was using the Lion brand. I can't remember. I'll write the ball below. But I managed to get one more ball, but not the same colour lot. Can you see? This is the original yarn, and then this is the new ball, and they did feel quite different. I don't think you can see the difference so I was a little bit disappointed that I couldn't get the same dye lot, but again, that's my fault for not being more organised. But it's finished, and I don't think you'd really notice it unless you were being really picky. But I can see it, and it is actually showing up a bit on the camera, the slight colour change. But I didn't want to waste what I'd already done, so I also finished that. So another finished project. And then the last project is my jumper. Now this is the one I'm most happy with. I'll stand up and see if I can show you better. Just a minute. Can you see that? Let me just... I love it. I'm so happy with it. I've made it slightly longer. I don't know if you remember saying I was after a more cropped jumper. The problem I found was because of the fillet and the bobbles I wanted to put in, the pattern, the bobbles were sort of working up to be over my chest and it wasn't very flattering, so I've made it longer. It does hide my bum, but only because it's so wide, I think. It's just the jumper, not my bum, although that's wide too. And then I've done these lovely puffed sleeves. I'm so happy with them. I did work them up. First of all, I tried decreasing, but I found it was sort of puckering around here, and again, it wasn't very flattering. So I carried on, and then I decreased really to make a nice tight cuff, and then I've just added this lovely ribbing effect around the cuff. I love it. Although it's not the jumper that I had initially planned, it's worked up so well that I think I will keep it as it is. I'm going to keep it as it is. I still think I'd like to bring the neck in a bit. Got my hair down today, but it tends to go like that. So I might do that first. And then I'm going to make another one and get the pattern written up and put into my Ravelry shop, I think, because it's lovely and it's so easy to adapt as well. Because of the construction, it's a very simple construction. You can make it longer by adding more rows along here. And again with the sleeves, I've kept mine short. The reason for that is I want to be able to wear it, around the house while I'm doing things. And I find if my sleeves are too long, I'm always pulling them up. And the other thing I like to do is I like to wear longer tops underneath. So now I can sort of have my cuffs out. And I don't have to, again, roll the sleeves up. So I really love that. But like I said, if you wanted your cuffs to be longer, you could easily bring it right down. But I just love the way these balloon, and I was so excited by them. I put an Instagram post up talking about my Anne Shirley puffs because it just reminded me about, when Anne Shirley from Green Gables really wanted the puff sleeve dress. So I am very excited by this. I only finished it on Monday, so today's the first day I've worn it. It's really soft. I worked it up with some really reasonable yarn. I think in total the jumper has cost me £12. I just think that's incredible. So the yarn I used was this Wendy Aran. There we go. Can you see that? Wendy Aran. It's got 25% wool and the rest is acrylic. The nice thing about this is it can go in the machine on 40. That's what it says. And you can even put it on a cool tumble dry. I can barely believe it. I mean, I wouldn't wash it on a 40. I would probably put it on a wool wash, a 30. That's what I usually do for my knitwear. So that's also really good. I haven't washed it yet, so I'm going to give it a good wear in, wash it, and then see what happens. The other thing I haven't done, which I think I might, is add, maybe some ribbing or something a bit more like this, just along the bottom. So, but maybe I should do that before I wash it, actually. I don't know. I'll think on that, but lovely. Anyway, the wool, the Wendy, comes in 400 gram ball for, I think, about £10. And because it was just something that I started without much thought, I already had a ball opened, so I'm not quite sure how much I used, whether or not it's only 400 grams or whether or not it's slightly over, because I had 2 of the balls, and you can see I've still got loads left from the second ball. It's really nice, actually. It's almost what colour is it? It's sort of like a fawn colour, but there's almost like pinks and greys really subtly running through it, and every now and then you get, there's a little bit there of pink, or like a rust colour. So it is lovely. It's lovely wool, and it's really soft, and I think it's only going to soften up more in the wash. So that's what I've got left. I mean, I'll weigh that and see, but like I said, because I'd already broken into the first ball, I'm not quite sure how much I used. But I'm going to make another one up. I'll try in a different colour. I really fancy one in maybe a navy. And I might try using 2 colours. I don't know. I like the effect of it worked in the one colour. And of course it makes it so easy because barely any ends to sew in. So I'm so happy with that. But again, I might just take that up a bit. But yes, I love it. So that really was the main project that I worked on while the children were home, because it was nice and easy. I only had the back to do, actually, and then I worked out the decreases for the neck. And then Monday, when they'd gone back to school and I had a bit of peace, I worked out how I wanted to do the sleeves. So it is what it is. It is not the jumper that I had wanted, but I love it nonetheless. And I think I will still try and do a cropped one. Maybe I'll take out the fillet section and make a more cropped boxy jumper. And the other thing I'm wondering is if it's a bit too wide. Maybe if I try another one, I'll just try and take a few stitches off. I don't know. It's quite bellowy when you... I don't know, it's quite nice, but I'll try and take some pictures, or if she's feeling good, I'll maybe be able to get my daughter to model for me, and I'll get some better pictures so you can see. So that's really, really exciting. Well, I'm excited about that, obviously. And then I think that's probably it for the things I've finished, really, which isn't too bad. Although that's 2 weeks, isn't it, since so not too much, really. And the other thing that I have made a decision about is my Lost in Time shawl. I don't know if you remember last time I podcast, I said I wasn't sure. I was finding it quite hard work. I had some lovely comments, and I have since seen some more lovely photos on Instagram of finished Lost in Time shawls, which has made me want to carry on. So I'm halfway through a row. That's not very good, is it? Let me just put the hook back on it. Sorry. So there we go. Does that weird thing. It's lighting up. I'm on the grey swirl now, although it's still not very easy to work on in the evening. But can you see? You can just see the yarn lighting up. But I love the pattern, and I'm just going to continue on with it, I think, because I think the main problem was I have been working on it in the evenings, and we have our low lights on, and I just don't think I could see what I was doing very well. So, but I've nearly, I'm so close to the ball lightening up that I think it'll be a lot easier when when I get to the lighter colours. And I'm getting a bit more familiar with the pattern now as well, so that's helped a lot. Excuse me. So yes, I am going to continue with that because it's working out to be a lovely shawl. And I am getting into the swing of that a bit now. So, but what I have been doing, which is why it hasn't grown very much, I think I've only done one little section since I last showed you, is because I haven't been able to work on it in the evenings. So I've been working on it really on the weekend in the mornings when the light's a bit better. So hopefully as soon as that lightens up a bit, I will be able to work on it in the evenings again, and it will grow faster. So I hope I can get that finished because it's beautiful. I'm looking forward to wearing it. So, and that is all the crochet I have to show you. Like I said, the children were home last week. I love the October half term actually, because we're just relaxed, and it really feels like a holiday just for resting. So we went for lots of walks and coffees and cakes and watched lots of movies and just really, really rested. So the children definitely needed it, especially my son. He started secondary school in September, and I found that he's been particularly tired. So it was a very welcome rest for us all. What else have I got to? So I haven't got any works in progress because I've just finished this, but I do have, this jumper has really inspired me to make more jumpers. And as much as I've loved designing my own, and I'm really happy with it, I really want to try some different ways of making jumpers. And I'm really interested to try a jumper where the sleeves are inset, because I've never made an item like that before. I've worked yokes top down and this obviously type of construction where you're just really making squares and rectangles. So I did see this jumper in this jumper here in, I think, last month's Inside Crochet. And you can see the sleeve, I don't know if you can see, the sleeves are inset there. So I'm really interested to try that. And when I was, I've been sorting through projects slowly, I found some Aran granny squares that I'd obviously started for a blanket, and I think I was using some lovely Katia, I think it was Katia Peru yarn, which is quite expensive, or for me I find it quite expensive. So I knew that the blanket would be very expensive if I continued with it. And I had about 8 squares worked up, and I managed to work some of them into the blankets I made my daughter last year, and I've got about 4 left. So I'm wondering if I can, instead of just using the one granny square, use 4 in place of that one, because the jumper is plain on the back, so you only need the granny square at the front. And I had a look, you can see I've marked it. I looked up all the yarn, and it's actually worked with, well, it's worked with Noro Silk, and that's an Aran, and the other one is, no, it's just Noro Silk, and then it's mixed with a Debbie Bliss Angel, which is actually only a 2-ply. So I think the Debbie Bliss mohair is more just to give it texture. So I'm going to try that jumper, maybe using the 4 squares I've already got. I'll have to see how they're coming up with size. If not, I'm definitely going to try that. And I may even use some of the lovely Croft yarn that I've got left. So I'm going to have a go at that. So I've decided that's my next project. And other than that, I will remake and take notes another one of these. So I'll have to pick some yarn, which I sometimes find is the one thing that stops me starting projects is thinking about the colours and the yarn. So I'm going to try and be quick and make a decision about what I want to make it up with. And that's it really for the crochet. So a little bit thin on the ground this week. So I'll just, I'll tell you what I'm reading currently. Just grab it. And it is Philip Pullman's The Book of Dust. I really liked his, what was it, the dark, oh gosh, I've forgotten what they're called. His dark materials. I read that, well, it's a series of 3 books. I read those a number of years ago, and I was really excited to find that he'd written another one. This one is set 10 years prior to the first book. Lyra has just been born. I think she's about 6 months old. So there's a new set of characters, and obviously some of the older characters. And I'm about halfway through, and I'm really enjoying it. And I think he's doing another trilogy. So I think I read that the second book will be based 10 years after the last set of books. So that's quite interesting. So, but I'm enjoying that a lot. So that's what I've been reading. And then on television, I just watched this lovely film, My Cousin Rachel. It's got Rachel Weisz as Rachel. It's based on the book by Daphne du Maurier. I read the book earlier on in the year because I knew it was coming out to the cinema, and I hadn't read this one. I love Rebecca. Rebecca's one of my favourite books, and Jamaica Inn, but I'd not read this one, so I really, really enjoyed the book. I enjoyed the book more than I enjoyed the film, but that could be because by the time I watched the film, I knew the story. I'm not quite sure, but Rachel Weisz is just the perfect Rachel. That was just so well cast. They couldn't have put anyone else in this role. And it's a really good story because you just never know. Is she a black widow? Is she going around doing in all her husbands? Or was she completely innocent and just a woman with very modern ideas maybe about, the way she wanted to live her life? It's very tricky. It's also got that Sam Claflin. He was in the really sad one, Me Before You. He's quite good in it, but she's definitely the star. So I love that, and it got me thinking about all the other du Maurier books that I've not read. And I was having a little browse on eBay at books, as you do, and I found this one that she'd written about Cornwall. It's just called Vanishing Cornwall. We love Cornwall, and every time we go down, we try to go to a different area, but we always stop at the Jamaica Inn. And this is a book that she wrote about the history of Cornwall and a lot of the questions she had about where she grew up. And actually her son, they obviously travelled around together. Her son took all the photographs in the book. So there are loads of they're all black and white. But there are loads of lovely pictures in there that her son took. So I'm really interested to read this. Well, I love history anyway, and you always get a sense when you read her books about how much the landscape and the surroundings mean to her, and how much they add to the sort of mystery of her stories. So I think I paid about £2.50 for this. So I'm going to read that next. So I'm excited about that. So that was the film that I've enjoyed. And the other thing I watched on TV, we've been watching Stranger Things and Riverdale. Season 2's both started on Netflix. I'm watching those with children. And the other thing I watched that was really interesting was the Chris Packham documentary on BBC Two. It was called, I've written it down, it was called Just Asperger's in Me. It was a really, really good documentary. I love him anyway because, we watch Autumn and Spring Watch, and when I was younger, my brother and I always watched The Really Wild Show, and we loved him in that. But it was talking about him living with his high-functioning Asperger's, and that he wasn't diagnosed until he was in his 40s. And it's really, how it's affected him and how he's tried for so long to hide it and be normal. And, he talks through the way his mind leaps from one subject to another, and how he doesn't like social situations, and because his senses are so heightened, and he lives on his own in the New Forest, even though he's got a partner of 10 years, they don't live together. It's just really, really interesting. And they interviewed his girlfriend as well, and she spoke about some of the difficulties, that they encounter. And I just thought it was really brave of him to finally talk about that. And I think, they also did, they were talking about different sort of treatments that they were sort of pioneering. They had two different opinions, really. Some professionals were really looking for a cure, and then there were other people, particularly I think they had an IT company saying, well, why would you want to cure that? This just really an individual quality, and you can do amazing things. And actually, it's not, we shouldn't be trying to cure that. We should be trying to change society's opinions. Just a minute, the doorbell's gone. I can't remember what I was saying now. I think I was talking about the Chris Packham documentary. Anyway, it was really interesting, really insightful, and definitely worth a watch. I think it was a really well made documentary talking about his childhood, and the things that he did that separated him from the other children, and he never really understood, and it made him quite angry. It was just beautifully done. So that's definitely one to watch. And I think I'm out of breath. I just went to the door. I think that's probably it for today. So I apologise if this one's a bit short, although I feel like I've been talking for quite a long time. I don't have anything else to mention, so I will be back in 2 weeks with some new projects. Hopefully I can get started on some new items now, and I will work on this so that I can get this listed, and the Light Between Oceans shawl needs to be finished and added. So hopefully I might have to do a bit of pattern writing in the next couple of weeks. So that's all I'll say for today. I hope you've all had a lovely half term if you've been off. If not, I hope you're all well, and I will see you all again soon. Thank you.